he wanted viewers to be led to believe that there is no classic series. You know, he wanted them to believe that. I mean, that's what I hate about his writing. It's just that he doesn't encourage viewers to go back and learn about the history of Doctor Who, and I hate that. You know, I mean, how can you resurrect a series and make it as a tribute to the history of the show when you completely ignore the fact that there was one? You know, I mean, it's just in all of his shows, he makes very little effort to connect the new series to the original series. You know, and I mean, Stephen Moffat, he doesn't necessarily make ties to the original series, but he doesn't ignore it either. You know, he kind of like, I think Stephen Moffat's just he's kind of like Solo. You know, he doesn't try to connect his stories to Russell T Davies' writing, but he doesn't try to connect his writing to the classic series either. You know, I mean, which is fine. You know, because I mean, you know, it keeps it original. You know, but Stephen Moffat though doesn't make deliberate attempts by his dialogue to, you know, lead viewers on that there is no original series like Russell T Davies does. And I'm telling you, like, when I get further in my reviews, I mean, I'll point out this again in future episodes that I review. I'll point out dialogue in an episode where it was a deliberate attempt to lead viewers to believe that there is no original series. You know, and I mean, I hate that. I don't understand why he does that. You know. Okay, enough about that. Okay, I already talked about the robots. I guess that's all. I guess that's really all. That's all I could find that was. And keep in mind, I want to say this. It's not like I just got through watching these episodes, okay, and I was just picking them apart to try to find something to complain about, and that's not the case. I mean, it's been ages since I've watched these episodes, you know, and these are the things that I talk about in my videos are just things that, you know, that stuck out in my mind. That, like, when I think about episodes that I watched like a month or two ago, you know, this is what I remember not liking about them. This is the stuff that I talk about in them. You know, I don't have to watch them again to remember this stuff. And this is stuff that I can just, you know, right off the top of my head remember that I did not like about them. You know, and I thought were not consistent with what Doctor Who is supposed to be. You know, and the only other thing that I will say about Christmas Invasion that started, this is when Christmas Invasion first aired, was it was then starting to be evident to me that with Rose and the Doctor, Russell T Davies was doing to Doctor Who what they did with the Spider-Man movies. You know, and what they did with the Spider-Man movies was, and then Transformers, they did it with Transformers too. The original series was strict. I mean, the TV series, the cartoons, were like Spider-Man was about a superhero. It was about crime fighting and stuff, and that's all it was. You know, it didn't. There was no. It did not need anything else to help support the story. You know, it just. I mean, all it needed was Spider-Man fighting off bad guys, and I mean, it worked. You know, because that's what the show is about. It's a superhero. It's just like Batman or the Green Hornet or whatever. You know, and then with Transformers, it was the same way. You know. But when they redid the movies, they had to. I mean, it's almost like Transformers and Spider-Man. Like, I mean, honestly, like reviews of the Spider-Man movies, they did not market that as a superhero movie. They classified that as a love story. You know, and I mean, that's not what Spider-Man's about. You know, and I know that's what Russell T Davies was doing with Doctor Who, with Rose and the Doctor. He was turning it into a love story. You know, and so it kept going on too. It did not stop with Christmas Invasion. I mean, this went on and on and on. You know, I mean, we had to deal with this until, I mean, even after Rose had left the series, you know, and he got another companion, Rose was still showing up. You know, and she's still in love with the Doctor and whatnot. You know, and it's just like, that got annoying. You know, that's just not that's not what that show is about. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, that show, Doctor Who, the last 5 years of Doctor Who, would have been great. It would have been just as good had they not included that. You know, and y'all can sit here and tell me that it wouldn't have been, but I know it would have been. I mean, look at the last 40 years of Doctor Who. You know, there was never any love stories between the Doctor and a companion in the original series, and it lasted from 1963 to 1989. You know, and no one ever complained about that. No one ever, in the classic series of Doctor Who, no one ever sat there and complained and said, I wish they would insert a romantic love story element into the series. You know, they didn't sit there and say, this show would be a lot better if they would put this in there. You know, they didn't say, this Doctor Who would benefit from having a little dose of heart-to-heart in it. because people that like Heart to Heart and people that like Doctor Who were on the opposite ends of the spectrum. The people that watch Doctor Who were sci-fi fanatics. People that watch Heart to Heart were, romantic love story fanatics. And it's just like modern society has decided that rather than cater to a specific audience, they combine the two and try to make everybody like it. And to me that's a foolish move. You can't please everybody. And that's what Russell T Davies tried to do. He's trying to please everybody with his writing. And the story, the episode of Doctor Who ends up being kind of crappy. Because he was trying to please everybody with it. And see, Stephen Moffat doesn't do that. That's why Stephen Moffat's stories appealed more to the classic Who fans. Is because Stephen Moffat didn't care if the channel surfers didn't understand it. Because he wasn't writing Silence in the Library or Blink or The Girl in the Fireplace. He wasn't writing those with the channel surfers in mind. He wrote those for smart kids. He knew that people who had a grasp of quantum mechanics and time and quantum physics, he knew that those people would understand what he was trying to tell in those stories. And he also knew that somebody who just flipped over from Deal or No Deal would not understand it. But he didn't care. It's because the people that watch Deal or No Deal are not Doctor Who fans. They just and they'll be the first to tell you that they're not. I'm sure somebody's going to comment on it and say, "Well, I like Deal or No Deal, but I'm a Doctor Who fan." No, you're not. No, if you watch Doctor Who because Rose is in love with the Doctor, you're not a Doctor Who fan. Okay, I'm sorry, you're not. Because that's just. You may like Doctor Who, but you're not a fanatic of the show. So. That's it. That's all I have to say on Christmas Invasion. It was a pretty good episode. I liked the fact that the Doctor was not pitted against overwhelming odds this time around. Like it was in Parting of Ways. And it was. To me, Christmas Invasion reminded me of Terror of the Zygons from the original series, because there was a scene where when the aliens finally did get to the Earth, their ship was hovering in the sky and whatever, and there was a scene in Terror of the Zygons where their ship rose up out of the lake or whatever, I think it was Loch Ness, and then they were flying across the sky and whatever. So and then there was only like 3 or 4 Zygons in Terror of the Zygons, and then the Christmas Invasion there was only like 3 or 4 aliens, and it's not like the Doctor was pitted against an army of them. He was. The odds were. The odds were not in his favor, but they were not impossible odds. When you watch that episode, you knew that there is a chance. There is a chance that the Doctor can beat this guy. And he did. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I really liked about the episode was the sword fight. The sword fight at the end of the episode between the Doctor and that dude, because that was awesome. Because I've seen sword fights with the Doctor before, like with Peter Davison and the Master and the King's Demons, and then Tom Baker had a sword fight, and I think it was the Androids of Tara. It was Androids of Tara, because he fought with Count Grendel. So to me that was pretty neat. It reminded me, to me that was paying homage to the original series, because it reminded me of the sword fight with Peter Davison and Tom Baker. So I think that's it. That's all I have to say about Christmas Invasion.